Hi guys, it's me, Laura, and I'm back again. And this one, I love the honeycomb. And I know, I said I love my finger smears too, but doggone, I think maybe this might be my favorite. But I always say that, and then I'm like, okay, really? Anyway, you're going to go ahead and take the clay and run it through your pasta machine on a number one setting or your second largest opening, and then fold it once and then twice, and then with your tissue blade, go ahead and cut the raggedy edges off of that brick. Now we go ahead and use our knitting needle. Yep, that's right. And I'm using my largest knitting needle in this particular case. And I'm just making a sequence of holes all the way down into that stack of clay and making it pretty evenly spaced as much as possible. But again, just random, however I want to have it on there. And there you go. It's a few more dots in there. Okay, so now, can't really lift it up that way. So take your knife, your blade, and bring it up. You can see it's almost all the way through, and then you start to pull the clay. Now, this is Sculpey Original. You could do this with other clays, but I just love Sculpey Original in doing this. And you're just slowly but surely pulling out. And if your center gets a little wide, work on just the edges then and start to pull it. You're widening those holes. So those holes are really getting bigger and bigger as you go. But you could kind of see already just what kind of a design you're going to be getting. So if you pinch it a little bit and it starts to get like a little bit flatter, that is okay. That's not a problem. But don't pinch it too much. Again, I had this where it was four sheets of, on my second largest opening through my pasta machine. So it should be able to hold up pretty good in that regard. And this is looking pretty good. I'm getting it widened out pretty well. And I put a couple of, holes on the edges, and you'll see why here in a second. Because this thing, once you start it, you want to go ahead and take your blade and cut into the one edge and leave some, you might say, openings like open. They're not going to be completely solidly shut. You want some of those holes open. So now I have my honeycomb. I'm going to lift it up with my blade. There we go. And then you're going to take your wad of extra clay there, run it through your pasta machine again, either on number one or whatever setting you like. Put that, lift up your comb there, put your sheet of clay down, and then go ahead and place that on top. And then take your blade and cut it flush with the actual honeycomb piece. And that simply is how you make the organic honeycomb. I truly love this particular pattern. It's just, like I said, other than the finger ones, this is pretty much, I think, my favorite, at least so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this again. It's going to be a white honeycomb on gray background. And I'm going to run that clay through my pasta machine on my second largest opening. I'm going to fold it once, then twice, and then I want to go ahead and cut the raggedy edges off. And I even take the folded area and I like to cut that because I like to have a flush piece. And then set that to the side and then start to make your holes into that clay piece. Evenly spaced as much as possible and just keep going. And if you have a few off, who cares? That's fine. All right, so now take your blade, lift it up, and then start to slowly pull it. Pull, pull, pull. And eventually your holes and the openings there will start to widen out. And you might notice like, okay, certain areas are getting really wide and then others aren't. Just go in and pull those out from the edges away from the center. And as you're pulling them away from the center, do this very gently. You don't want to pull it too hard because then you might accidentally pull it away and then the holes will be ripped open. So yes, do this very gently. Okay, so now you see this, it's starting to look pretty good. We're getting our openings just a little bit larger here and there, and it's looking great. Okay, let's go ahead and cut this, and like I said, cut that solid edge away. It gives it so much more of a true look of a honeycomb when you do that. And now I have this gray flat sheet. Just place that on there, and again, you're cutting it flush. And this is what it looks like when you have a gray background. I wanted to show this so that you would get an idea of like, oh, this is what it looks like if you have another non-color in the mix. So if you would rather use black clay instead of gray, try it. I think you're going to really like that. It's a more dynamic effect as well. Okay, so let's try the honeycomb now on a gray honeycomb on a white background. So what you're going to do, you're going to fold it again once and then twice. And then you're going to go ahead, get that set, and cut the rough edges off of that brick. So now that I've got this gray clay going, and this is not Sculpey Original White, so it's a little more firm too. We'll see what happens with this. I'm going to take my brick and take my knitting needle, and again, we're going to make those holes kind of in sequence, just going along, poking all the way through to the bottom. And you can make this brick as big or small as you want. I'm trying to do a little bit more here. I'd like to get it a little bit bigger than usual, just to see what I can do with it. And I think sometimes that helps because when you're making this, the outside edges, you want to cut that away anyway. And when you do that, the pattern that you originally started with will get a little smaller once you cut those solid clay walls away from the honeycomb. Okay, so now that I've got all the holes done, let's go ahead and lift up that brick with my blade and start pulling. And again, this is a stiffer brick of clay, so it might take me a little bit longer, and I might have to tug a little bit more. That Sculpey Original is pretty soft, so you don't have to do much to make it move. And generally when you have another piece of clay that's, definitely not Sculpey Original, but they will probably be more firm. And when they're more firm, you're going to have to do a little more pulling, and it's probably going to take a little more time to do so. Okay, so now I've pulled this out. It's looking pretty good. And we'll just set that down. And again, we're just going to cut away those solid clay gray walls. There's 1, 2, and there you have your gray honeycomb. But we're going to go ahead. We need to put the white underneath it. So let's set the gray clay to the side. Take our white, and I'm going to run that through my Atlas Post machine on a #1 setting, which is my second largest opening. Lay that down, put that on top of my white clay, And again, we're going to cut that, oops, there we go. We're going to cut that flush. There. And now it's completed up. So here I have the 3 examples of the honeycomb. You can use this as reference whenever you need to, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'm sending out my biggest hugs to you all. Have a great day.